Hi, this is Phillip at Château Avensac. It's been a little chilly lately, but today we have lots of sun and it's almost warm. It's warm but cool. So I was poking around the Chai, which is the building behind me, and then suddenly thought we should take a little look through the Chai. And I used the term Chai. Chai technically is a above ground storage building for wine, but it can also refer to a building where you make wine. And back when the 19th century Chateau was built, they built the Chai and they were making wine and or possibly Armagnac. Actually, we don't know if it was wine or Armagnac, but we are in Armagnac region. And they brought some innovative technology for the winemaking, which wasn't known or used a lot in this area. So we'll explore that as we explore the Chai. So where I'm standing in this front courtyard that I'm standing in front of the Chai, was originally a ditch, and it was part of the defensive system of the original 14th century Chateau. And when the 19th century Chateau was built, they took the rubble of the old Chateau, and this is the story I heard, and they filled in this ditch to create this entranceway to access the Chateau. And they also built the Chai at that time as well. So the Chai was built with the 19th century Chateau. On this level, it's divided into two parts. So there's the right side and the left side, and well, let's just go inside and we'll sort that out. So right now we're storing a lot of stuff in the Chai. So there's a lot of our stuff from the States, stuff we've been acquiring, and stuff we've taken out of the house while the big renovations are happening in the house. And but you can get a sense of the room. Obviously it's quite tall. I probably should know how tall it is. Susie, how tall would you say this is? 20 feet? Does it feel like 20 feet? Maybe taller. You can see I have great judgment of spatial. Yes, I agree. 30 feet. Let's go 30. Around 30 feet tall. So it's a very big space. There was at one time actually another level. And if we look at the back walls, you can see the outlines of where there were once windows on the upper level. And you can kind of see a little bit of a line. It's probably where the floor was for the upper level in this section. So at one time there was another level. On the other side, which we'll look at momentarily, there still is the second level. And if we step in just a little bit into the Chai, I just want to point out, this is one half of it. This wall on my left, which is this wall, big wall, we're actually planning at some point to cut a huge archway opening in it to connect the two sides of the Chai. And then this space can be used for events. So it would create an indoor space that can be used for big events, like possibly big weddings, well, medium-sized weddings, and other gathering events. So who knows, maybe there'll be a performance of Phantom of the Opera at the Chateau in the Chai. But the idea is just to open this space up. Let's check out some little secret things that were in the Chai when we bought the house, and see if we can get to them. We can get to them. I will scoot over. So we actually have this little carriage that was here in the Chai. And in front of it, there's a cart, also horse-drawn cart. So at some point, we'll pull these out, clean them up, and use them as part of the Chateau. I don't know where we're getting a horse from. Maybe a donkey, I don't know. The other thing I want to point out is where I'm standing, and I'm going to move this box. Ooh, that box is heavy. Okay, Now you can understand why I complain of back problems. This section here where I'm standing is cement. You can see it's not wood. And there's a metal plate in the top of it. And there's a second plate under the conduits, the electrical conduits that are being stored here for the moment. And the reason this is here is this is actually a rather large cement tank that's in the sous-sol of the Chai. The sous-sol is the lower level. And there's actually a whole nother level underneath us, and we'll take a look at that momentarily. But this provided access to the cement tank. So this is the top of 2 cement tanks. And these cement tanks were not a common way of making wine back when the Chateau was built. And the builder of the Chateau sort of brought these techniques in from somewhere else in France where they were starting to use cement from winemaking. So this was innovative wine technology. All right, let's go over to the other side. Here I am on the other side of the Chai. There is just to the side a partial staircase that goes down to the lower level. Has to be completely rebuilt. And a very important danger sign to indicate that. Also, where Susie is now, the floor is not, you're right where you are is fine. In front of where you are, the floor is not as stable. And it is a big drop down. So we actually keep the Chai locked up. So this is the other side of the Chai. You notice on this side there's a ceiling, and that's because there is an upper level. Our plan is actually to take out the upper level so that when we connect the 2 sides, it's really this one really beautifully large vaulted space. And we're gonna relocate the staircase that goes down to the lower level, because we'll keep that, but we'll relocate it, I think, to this back wall to kind of just make the access a little bit easier and to kind of get it out of the way so we have as much open space as possible. As you can see now, we're currently storing some fixtures that came out of the Chateau and our scaffolding. And you'll note in the back, these are old winemaking materials. These are for carrying the grapes and transporting the grapes and pouring them into the vats. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I'll rephrase that. I surmise that these are for carrying the grapes and pouring them into the vats. But they were here when we bought the house. And all of these fixtures actually came out of the house. So some plumbing fixtures. Don't know what we're doing with them yet. We'll see. And actually a great little find, although I don't think Mark would agree, but there's a sack of these burlap, a bunch of sacks of these burlap bags that were here, a full set of these sacks, which I think are kind of cool. And at some point, maybe we'll do something like some fun cushions or upholstery or I don't know, something. All right, let's go around to the downstairs. And because the staircase is too dangerous, we're gonna take a slightly less dangerous staircase around the outside. So here is the end of the wing of the left side of the courtyard, which is where we store Betty, our pickup truck. And this gate provides access to the other side of the wing. I'm gonna pause here for a moment because I wanna note this stone on the ground here. We didn't know this was here. It was under just a couple inches of dirt and then the grass. We were trenching along the house for drainage when we hit the stone and couldn't figure out, it was all really jammed in there, and then kind of uncovered this. And so we're not sure what this is. It is possible, and very probable, is the top of a wall, a stone wall. And that's because where you are was a ditch that was part of the defensive system of the Chateau. And that ditch crossed in front of what is now the current Chateau as part of the defensive structure. And to the right here is the very top of the defensive walls that remain. This is the top of the 14th century wall that is part of the, that forms the terraces and part of the original 14th century defensive system. So the area was, the whole old chateau was really completely surrounded by a moat, probably a dry moat, possibly it had some water in it. It's not clear, but definitely at least a dry moat. So let us continue. And just to my left, there's a door here. This is the door to the back kitchen, so just to try and help orient. All right.
Show us the way.
We're gonna go down this
Guide us to the light, Ruby. Guide us to the light.
slightly treacherous staircase. Stick close to the candles. The staircase can be treacherous.
What's that from?
Susie's
That sounds
looking.
very familiar. What's that from?
Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The joke of it is the candles weren't lit when she was saying that. Ooh, that was a spoiler, in case you didn't know that. Hey, Rue. All right, here I am, I'm on the mid-terrace. This is the end of the mid-terrace. It ends at what we call the ruined house. This was probably never a house, but some kind of outbuilding. All right, here we're entering the ruined house. At some point, we will clear some of this out. I think this actually might be a really beautiful spot for like a little hidden garden kind of thing. And who knows, possibly way, way down the line, we could re-roof it and actually turn this into some kind of a structure or a vacation rental or something like that. But obviously it needs just a little bit more than just some paint. There is someone in the village who said he remembered when there was a roof on the structure. And so, you know, it was roofed, and but that could have been 40 or 50 years ago. So it's been a long time. And as we come through the ruined house, we are now behind the Chai. So we're on the other side, complete opposite side of the Chai as we were when we were in the courtyard. So you can see here, I'm gonna stand over by the door so you can get a sense of the height. We're now at the lower level. So we kind of came down the stairs and we're at the lower level of the Chai. And there's this vast space here. It's divided into 3 sections, each with its own door. And we're gonna go into the far one. I'll also point out that if you look ahead in this direction, there's just a little lane, it's about 8 or 9 feet wide, that runs alongside the entire village from our end to the other end of the village, which has the church at the other end. And that's all part of the property. We have that lane just so that we could have access with a vehicle of some kind to get into the back section of the Chai. Because otherwise the only way was walking through the ruined house. Ooh, it's chilly down here.
I haven't been in here.
You've never been in here?
No.
Oh, well, Susie's never been here. Welcome to the Chai.
Torture chamber.
So you can see this is where they were obviously making wine down here. And just to give you some perspective, you know, I'm 5'9". Mm-hmm. Let's just go with that. I was 5'9" at one point. And yeah, so we've got these huge barrels that are down here in the Chai. And here's the bottom of the very treacherous staircase. It's not usable right now. That goes up to that upper level on the side that we were in just before. And if we come over into this section, and there's a lovely, slightly dank odor down here. Just a little cold. Not strong, just cold. These are the cement tanks. You know, so to kind of give you a little perspective of the height of these So these are the 2 cement tanks. So when I was on top of in the upper part of the Chai, standing on that cement platform, that little metal door, that door goes into the big tank. And in fact,
Those look like little oven doors.
this is the door to the tank, and that would fit in. That would fit in here. And this door, it gets sealed in because they would put the grapes in, and they would ferment in the cement.
Are those little spigots on the right side? Those 2 little pipes coming out?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
lighting is not fantastic.
No. And if you can see in the dark, I don't know, can you see this in the dark?
Sort of.
That's a pump. It's a hand pump. Right. And what you would do is part of the processing is you pump it up and over. You pump over to move the liquid around, usually like once a day or something. And also in here, of course, we have more of these wine barrels. And someone left behind a tasting glass, so you can taste the wine.
Oh, hi! It's Judy from Château Avensac. It's good to see you. So Phillip found the glass down in the bottom of the Chai. I sneaked down there for a little. But now I have a new job. I'm in charge of choosing the wine for the Chateau. And I don't know a lot about wine, so I got a specialist in. I want to introduce you to our guest today, Rebecca. Rebecca is a very dear friend. She has 2 lovely children and a very handsome husband. His name is Andy, and, well, he calls her B. The poor dear doesn't realize her name starts with an R. Rebecca, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Judy.
Hi.
It's great to be here. Great to be at the Chateau. Well, I'm a winemaker and I've made wine in England.
Ooh, do they have wine in England?
They do.
Really?
They do, yeah. And I've made wine in California, which is where we first met.
Oh, that's right. Perhaps you shouldn't speak about California wine in France.
Or English.
And so what are we doing today?
We're going to taste a couple of wines. We're going to start with a local white wine from Domaine Arton, just 20 minutes or so away from
Lovely.
here. This is a Sauvignon Blanc. Shall we get going?
Let's do.
Okay, so let's pour a tasting sample. Right.
Kind of chintzy on the wine there.
So we pick up our glass, give it a good swirl.
That swirl.
Yeah, swirl it around, and then, take a good sniff. What do you get?
Flowers.
Flowers.
Lovely.
Floral.
Floral.
Some lovely lemon notes, a little bit of ripe gooseberry.
Citrus.
Something slightly tropical. And perhaps a little touch of grass. Let's take a sip.
All right.
Give it a good slosh, good swirl in the mouth.
All right. That is delicious.
And then spit.
Sorry, I spit backwards.
So, what flavours do we get?
It's absolutely lovely.
It's absolutely lovely. Some of that citrus
Oh, yes.
and some of that gooseberry.
Pineapple.
Pineapple finish.
Delicious.
A rich and full wine.
We'll definitely have to keep this on the menu at the Chateau. Rebecca, shall we move on to a red?
Let's move on to
I have a lovely local red here that I thought we'd try today. Here,
Are you going to pour it?
Yes.
Great, you're going to pour it.
How's that?
That is a good tasting sample.
All right.
We will definitely get to taste that wine.
It's a good thing there's only 2 of us. Oh, here, let's just go all the way. All right.
Okay. So the swirl might be interesting. Don't
Interesting.
go too fast. Okay.
I didn't wear red today.
No, and I didn't wear white. Some really good berry flavours.
Delicious.
Very aromas.
Smells delicious. Shall we?
Yeah. A smooth, silky,
Do you mind if I keep going?
You keep going.
Okay, you go ahead and talk to the lovely
I
people.
think smooth and silky tannin says cherry. How are you enjoying it, Jamie?
It's absolutely wonderful. Cherry,
Yeah.
lots of cherry.
And a good long finish.
Yes. Well,
I think we
Rebecca,
found our local red.
I want to thank you for being part of Judy's wine tasting at the Chateau. And what are you supposed to tell our lovely guests?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Atta girl! Now, let's do the last one. The thing that the Gers is most famous for, Armagnac. Rebecca?
Cheers.
Down. Absolutely wonderful. I'm Judy from Château Avensac. This is Rebecca from Château Avensac, and you have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
And in this very dark corner, which I probably can't see, there's actually another door into the next section. So the upper section is divided into 2 spaces. The lower section is divided into 3. And we're going to go around the outside and we can access it that way. And this is the last section. The barrels in the middle section were blocking the doorway, but this last section. So everything in here was here when we bought the Chateau. It's just old farm equipment that was left behind. I think there's some kind of old plow, an old telephone pole. But what's kind of cool is there are 2 big barrels. The first one is on a barrel cart, which is really neat. And there's a barrel behind it, and I can't remember if it's also on another cart. So we're just holding on to everything until we get a chance to clean this out, which might be quite a while. And then we'll decide, what we can do with it. We have lots of wagon wheels, which are very cool, old wooden wagon wheels. And we may use them as part of the decoration in the Chai when we renovate that for events. And the old, very large barrel hoops that are on the really large barrels. So there's lots of creative possibilities to do with the stuff that's in here. And then all of the space will probably at some point get renovated, kind of recreate the wine production, tasting kind of space. We're not going to actually be producing wine here ourselves. And we'll also at some point put some bathrooms in here so that there'll be bathrooms for the event space above. And that's sort of what's going on with the Chai. Okay, well, for the last bit of this video, we're going to take a walk down the lane to the other side of the village, and we'll come out by the church. I just want to pause here. So this is the lane, this whole lane is part of the property, basically providing access to the back of the Chai. But also the village is built on the top of a ridge, so we're really right at the edge, and to the sides are the mini valley between this ridge, which has Avensac on it, and the next ridge, which has Marignac on it, and the fields in the valley. So here we've come to the end of the lane. You can see the church is just behind me, and I guess we should have paused up here. And it comes up to a small road that runs actually around the church, which loops around back into the village. I hope you enjoyed our tour of the Chai. Mark often calls it the wine Chai. Thank you to everyone, and especially our patrons whose contributions really help, and all contributions go to the restoration of the Chateau. Thank you very much. This is Phillip at Château Avensac.
She's not coming on this portion of the tour.
Oh, no. Ruby.
She's like that bad guest that comes and just wanders off and rifles through your medicine cabinet and takes some of your drugs.
Look what's coming. Hello, kittens. Ruby. Ruby loves it when I'm outside. Yes, she's thinking her next plan of action here. Sleep. Chase something. Play with a leaf. And behind her is the tiger. That's Boston. Hey, Boston. What you doing? He was been upset the last couple days because Susie was away.